Hello, so I'm doing a review on the Rokit KRK 5 Generation 3. I'm doing this because, again, the only reviews I can find of these are people talking about the plugs and the adjustments on the back and how they look, blah, blah, blah. Some of the reviews do talk about the updates. Things like the new waveguide, there's no screws, a new cabinet, the new bass port, all that kind of stuff. These are things you can already find online, so I thought it would be interesting to do a review between these and a bit of a comparison. $4,000 monitors versus $400 monitors. So, cheat sheet. 1-inch soft dome tweeter, 5-inch glass aramid woofer. Sounds pretty good. So like I said, new things, everyone's talked about this. The new contoured body. So this is all about sound diffusion, getting rid of standing waves that kind of hug the case and give you a cleaner, better, tighter sound. New bass port, again redesigned just to get a tighter, punchier bottom end, more detail, get rid of some of the mud. That's kind of one of the reasons why I never wanted to buy these monitors. They're just muddy. Well, they were muddy. They were never on my radar, ever. I mean, I like the way they look. I like the yellow cone, it's kind of cool. But other than that, meh. They go from 45 hertz to 35 kilohertz. I'm gonna say that's probably -6 dB, maybe -10 dB. 45 hertz from a 5-inch woofer? Maybe. Power, AB amplification, which is pretty cool. For a speaker this size, that's pretty great. 20 watts to the high, 50 watts to the low. Is that right? I think that's right. Yeah, 50, 20, bi-amped. Pretty cool. I'm not using these for my monitoring setup. I should tell you straight away. I'm using these for my monitoring setup. These are for my keyboards. They're being used as keyboard speakers because they sound great as keyboard speakers. I'm gonna say things about the sound that other people have said. Tight, punchy, warm. I can't use words like detailed, crisp, airy. I'm only saying that because I'm running these. These are still probably the best monitors I've heard in a two-way setup. That's because of the beryllium tweeter. See my Focal review to understand what's going on here. Some important things. Glass, right? Glass tissue. So these are woven glass fibers with a bit of foam and then more woven glass fibers. This is glass aramid, so it's Kevlar glass kind of woven together. This does color the sound a lot, which you'd expect from a $400 pair of monitors. Things I kind of want to talk about. It's a tricky one. Thinking, what do you talk about when you compare $400 versus $4,000? An extra zero. That makes a big difference. When I mix on these, it's very, very difficult to make things sound good. What I mean by that is I'm permanently tweaking and adjusting and changing my reverbs and my delays and the way I'm EQing vocals and the way I'm mixing things together, what I'm hearing in a snare and a kick drum. There's frequencies and sounds in there I'm trying to pull out or get out of the way. I'm never happy with what I hear through these because they're so damn clinical. I can hear every single thing going on in everything. Then what I do is I've got a little setup so I can run my sound from my workstation into these if I need to. Suddenly all my worries go away when I listen to these. All the little nitpicky things and all the detail I can't get quite right. As soon as I switch over to these, it just sounds lush and thick and full and warm, and I'm happy with the result. I don't think that's what you want. Like, if I just listen to these without these, it would be the bottom end, well, the bottom end down to 50 hertz, 55 hertz, that I'd be like, wow, these sound great, because they do punch. I mean, KRK are kind of, that's their thing. They're very punchy monitors. They sound really good. These punch, like I said in my Focal review, if I hear like a kick drum in these, I can hear things like, I'm exaggerating here, but I can hear things like the felt of the hammer. I can tell you what the drum skin's made of. I can hear sounds reflecting around the rim of the kick drum. In these, I just hear a punch of a kick drum. I'm just like, yeah, that's fun. There's warmth and thickness and boom. But these, I would switch between 20 different kick drums because I can hear exactly how that kick drum's changing. These more, I get a sense that the thump is changing, but I couldn't tell you how or why. The stereo image on these is really good. Now I have them sideways. I know that's not the right way to have them. I'm not doing mixing or mastering work on these. They're just for my keyboards. So sideways is just to keep things low. I don't want them sticking up here. It doesn't look right in this room. It's the only reason why. But the stereo image on these, I've got some electric piano sounds in here, which are amazing. These center the image better than any speaker I've ever had plugged into these keyboards, ever. I mean, a lot of these keyboards I've just seen live gigging and live stage work where my image is shot anyway. I'm never gonna get a good image on a stage. But blown away when I switched to my EP sound and started playing right in front of me. All the reverbs and everything way out and open. So for that, for imaging, for a fun sound, they're very fun. To the point where stereo speakers, if you want wicked stereo speakers, get yourself a pair of these, get yourself a small mix-up, plug your left and right RCA or whatever you want into that, into your little mixing console, and run these. They are great. As far as monitors go, I don't think so. I don't know how you're gonna tweak and really get into your sound of everything you're trying to get in your track with these, because you simply can't hear it. If you're a beginner, even, I was gonna say if you're a beginner, you can get a pair of these, but even then I don't think so, because if you're a beginner, you don't want to begin with something that's going to color your sound and make everything sound really good, right? Just checking that I'm recording my sound. Where if you're a beginner, I mean, not everyone can afford a pair of monitors like this or get as lucky as I got these secondhand, like less than half price of what they're worth. But if I began mixing and recording stuff and playing around on these, they would everything would sound good. Everything would sound really fun, and I guess in a way that would make me want to make more music, because I'd start thinking everything I'm making sounds really great and thick and full and warm, but it's not teaching me anything. These teach me a lot of stuff because I hear so much. I'm always trying to make stuff different and better and tweak and get in there. These make everything sound so good. I would think, oh, my mixes are done, but it sounds great. Everything sounds kind of together. As soon as I get the sound I'd been mixing on these and run them through a high-end system like this, it'd be shot. Be like, wow, what's going on? That sounds awful. Bottom end's gone, details all over the shop. Everything's a bit weird. Important things like when you pay the money you pay for good monitors like these, $4,000, you get a lot more power. 100 watts up here, 150 watts here, 2 different amplifiers. 170 watt bi-amped amplifier in these. Power doesn't mean volume. Power means the ability to give you detail. These look good. I think, because I know what these are, I love the way they look. Because these just look really nice, especially with the yellow cone. That's something I'd give them. They look great. They put out, people say things like, they get speakers like this, and there's this universal comment of, wow, they put out a lot more bottom end, and they punch a lot harder than I thought they were going to. That's a weird comment. That comment has been going around so much for the last freaking 20, 30 years that I know, I'm only 30, that is it really that surprising anymore? Really, you get a speaker like this, you know it's got its own amplifier in there. You know it's an aramid fiber cone, so they're tight and fast. Does it really surprise you? And it's ported at the front, which is cool. You don't need it near the wall. So is it surprising that they play low? I don't think so. Those comments are weird. Don't make that a deciding factor when you want to buy a pair of these. All monitors now play low. The $400-500 mark, they're all going to play punchy and low. That's kind of a thing I think a lot of companies use to try and sell their products. Because they're putting out a lot of bottom end, people think they sound good. There's a lot of companies out there that do this. I'm not going to name any names, but try to hear past that. Try to go listen to some monitors and set yourself this bar that if they sound a bit thin or lacking, that's more of a reference sound than something like this that's giving you tons of bottom end information. There are dials on the back to dial the sound in. You can take bass out, you can add treble, all the other reviews, any pictures you look at will show you this. It is pretty cool though. It's become a lot cheaper these days, but the cones of these, being this glass Kevlar aramid composite, my home theater speakers have very similar woofers to these. My home theater speakers are 4-way towers. They're huge. 2 dual 8-inch woofers on the bottom, and then fabric tweeters, a mid and a tweeter. Even those now, they're huge speakers, $1,000 for 2 of those. That's a lot more speaker. You don't get amplification, but that's a lot more speaker than this. And that Kevlar tech has been around forever now. Glass, no Kevlar, a lot more detailed, tons, and you can they're faster and snappier, and they definitely play lower, and this is an interesting one. These play lower, but if you put them next to these, the way these play low would make you think they're playing just as low as these. They're not at all. These are 40 hertz at -3 dB. These are 45, I'm gonna say -10. So realistically, 55 hertz, 60 hertz, you're getting these low end. But because these become boomy and a bit muddy, that bottom end, it gets this bloom to it, which makes you feel like it's playing really low and really like hitting you hard. It's not really. You listen to something like this that actually plays down that low. It doesn't have any bloom, it doesn't have any mud. It hits low and it's this fast, a transient smack. Because it doesn't have that bloom. You'd think, oh, you know, it's not actually that low. It is. You've just got to learn to hear that it's that low. Bit of a weird review, this one, because you know what these are. KRK have been around for freaking forever. This is their jam. This is what they do. Compared to the old G2 series, which I did hear way back in the day when I was first getting into all this stuff, hated them. They just sounded like muddy, boomy stereo speakers. These look better. They do sound better. They are a much better monitor than KRK have ever made at this entry range. I think a lot of that though is just due to the technology trickling down to now be cheaper to produce, easier to produce, which means every other company's doing the same thing and all this new technology is coming in. So it's not like KRK's moved up, it's like everything's shifted up, right? KRK's still here at the bottom. These Rokits are anyway. They make some good stuff. This is the Rokit series. Everything's moved up like this. So what was here, the Gen 2s have just gone. Yeah, look, I've got to say, for $400, hunt around. I'd go secondhand for that kind of money. I'd look at something that's worth $600 or $700, try and get them secondhand for $400. I wouldn't pay $400 for these new. They're not honest enough. They're not going to give you a real representation of what you want to mix on for that price. They're really fun. For listening to music, they're great fun. Again, these make it really hard to make my mixes sound good because I want to keep tweaking what I hear. I switched to these, they're a breath of fresh air. Everything sounds great. They're just nice and warm and fun. They do say they go up to 35 kilohertz. They probably do. They just don't have that crisp top end like something like this. Like it's there, but I'm not blown away by the top end. It's not the most amazing thing I've ever heard. What else can I talk about? That's it, really, I think. If you're a Rokit fan and you've had Gen 1, Gen 2, these are a big step up. They sound better. You can learn to mix on anything. I think I say that in all my reviews. Anything you can adjust to, you learn how to tweak and change to make it translate in the outside world. Upgrade to these if you're moving from Rokit and you want to stay with Rokit, just because it's quite a significant update. It's to do with the contouring of the body, the waveguide, the better port, new stuff going on inside. Yeah, but personally, I'm only using them for my keyboards. I'm using them for my piano here and my synth on top, because it makes everything fun. I used to have a crappy Behringer little PA system that I used to run this stuff through. It sounded tinny and really thin, and I couldn't hear any of the detail in the sounds inside of these boards. These at least let me hear that. The sounds, I can hear what is going on, not to the point of mixing and mastering, just for playing and feedback and having fun with my playing. That's what I use them for. I switch them over as my stereo reference set if I think I've finished the mix. But other than that, yeah, I think I've covered everything. That's my quick review on the KRK Rokit 5 Gen 3s, comparing them to the Focal Solo6. 400, 4000, you're gonna get a difference. Have a listen to these ones in store if you can, but then also go have a listen to something like this. All right, guys, hope you enjoyed. Check out my other reviews and I'll keep these coming. Thanks for watching. See ya.